Rich in Chicago. Hi, Rich. What's on your mind?
Hey, Dan. How are you today?
Good, bud. Good.
Good. Hey, you dissed CJ Stroud 2 days in a row, and I think you're just wrong. His offensive line is ranked 27th in the NFL. He's got no skilled player that's ranked in the top 10 in any category. He's got 2 seconds to throw to nobody open. And you guys are just wrong about your assessment.
This isn't my assessment. This is a team has to decide if they are going to do something with him. You saw Drake May got his team to the Super Bowl. You trying to tell me he's got skilled position players? You trying to tell me he's got a good offensive line?
And CJ Stroud, they traded away one of the best left tackles in the NFL and got nothing for him. They got a second-round pick and a couple third-round picks. They have paid zero attention to the offense over the last 3 years.
Okay, but do you think I'm the only one bringing up CJ Stroud, and are you going to extend him?
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
So I'm the only one bringing up, is there a question of extending him?
You, Sims, who's just bad. The one that surprises me is Golick. I thought he would know better, but and Darnold is the perfect example. He goes to the Jets, the worst franchise in the history of the NFL, and people are saying he's a bad quarterback. It's like they can't put 2 and 2 together.
The Texans were a playoff team the previous year.
Tell me the additions they made to their offense besides Stroud.
Yeah, but why aren't you yelling at the Texans? This is malpractice then, Rich.
The people that, incorrectly put the blame on CJ Stroud.
Well, he does take some blame, don't you think? He looked horrible. He couldn't hold on to the football. I mean, those are some of the worst games that we've seen in recent memory for a quarterback. Now, you can bring up the offensive line, but he was fumbling the ball. He couldn't hold on to it.
Listen, he did not play well, but to say that there's some doubt about his future over that is
so you're going to give him $55-60 million a year moving forward.
Give it to. Would you give it to Bryce Young?
No.
That's comical. Okay. So who else would you give it to? What are they going to do? They're going to go back into the draft? Is that what you're saying?
No, maybe you get him for $35 million. Maybe he realizes that he's not getting $60 million. And maybe you do salvage something here. But you want to give him $60 million? Go ahead. I wouldn't. I wouldn't give Bryce Young $60 million a year. But that'll be the going rate. And if you really love him, you think he's a franchise quarterback, hopefully they build around him.
You pay him what he's worth, and you don't beat people over the head for things that they are out of their control. You're going to leverage him because they've got a crummy offensive line. You're going to leverage his ability to make money because they've got a crummy offensive line.
Well, you then pay him $60 million. Good luck with that, Rich. I'm glad you're the president of the CJ Stroud fan club there. This isn't personal.
You just got to stay in your lane.
Yeah, I know. This isn't personal. At the end of last hour, I had a phone call. Rich in Chicago was basically telling me to stay in my lane, talking about CJ Stroud with the Texans, and I wouldn't extend him. Not now. I want to see another year. Because do I want to give him $60 million or do I want to bolster the offensive line? Because you might not be able to do both. But they've got a couple of skill position players. Mixon got hurt. But Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Schultz, they have some players. And they were a playoff team. And they are a really good defensive team as well. So they're not that far away. But we had a caller who thought that I was casting aspersions on CJ Stroud as if I was making this personal. I'm just telling you what I feel when I'm watching this. I have no bias whatsoever. Hey, if he's great, pay him $60 million. Couldn't care less. Yes, Eaton.
The best part of that discussion is that it's essentially no one wins, no one's wrong. All right, you're going to pay him, see what happens.
Yeah.
Or don't. Okay, and then don't. There really is. It's almost like there's no point to it in some regard other than so do you like CJ Stroud as a quarterback right now or not?
Yeah, and I brought up Bryce Young, that I wouldn't extend him either.
That's not a great comparison, by the way, if you're CJ Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. What are you talking about? What, are you going to pay Bryce Young? Man, that's not who you start with when you're comparing him to great quarterbacks in the league.
Well, Bryce Young did make the playoffs. That's all. I mean,
I get why you would compare them, but that's not the one that you want to make.
But if you're at that point where you got to make a decision, I'm not extending either one of those guys early. I want you to prove it. And it might be prove it for 2 years. But he has shown glimpses, certainly his first year. But 19 touchdowns, maybe 8 interceptions. That's not a franchise quarterback. But blame the Texans. Blame the front office. They're the ones that didn't, bolster, fortify that offensive line. And that goes back to what I've said about Andrew Luck. If you spend $100 million on your quarterback and you spend, $100 on your offensive line, we know how this ends. And I kept saying it's malpractice what the Colts were doing. They didn't build the offensive line when they got Andrew Luck. This is what Vegas should be doing. The cautionary tale for the Raiders should be Andrew Luck and the Colts. Yes, Marvin.
And back to your CJ Stroud point, Troy Aikman was talking about this during the playoff game. Like, look, the Texans have decisions to make going into the offseason if you want to pay this guy $60 million after throwing 4 interceptions in a playoff game.
Yeah. What's Troy know about playing quarterback?
Yeah. And money.
Yeah. Yes, Todd.
I don't understand how he got so crazy with you like that. There was no bashing involved. You were just, give me your opinion like you're supposed to.
I think because I brought it up to a couple of different guests. But this is a fact-finding mission that we have sometimes where we actually try to get answers from people, analysts, experts, and that's why I asked the question. Somebody may come back and say, you know what? He's one of the best quarterbacks. They'd be crazy to move on from him. They'd be crazy not to extend him. Okay, then I give you that opportunity. I don't know what your answer is going to be. You may fire back and say, that's ridiculous. Okay, but I asked the questions because I'm curious about what the answers are.